Hope everyone's blessed today. Um, going to talk a little bit about health today instead of about the good news of the gospel or the Bible or anything like that. It'll be about health today. I have a health blog which is called truth24-7health.com. Then another blog is truth24gospel of the good news.com, gospel.com. And then truth-ambassadors.myshopify.com, which is a shopping a service for gospel type items, gift items, Christian type items, things like that. So do take advantage of the opportunity to go do some shopping, and also check on the links to the blog so that you can get some more information. I'm going to talk for a few minutes today about autointoxication. I'm going to read a passage from my book, Live to 120 Without Sickness and Disease. Most of you are aware of this book. Many of you have copies and said it's really been a blessing to you, which is good. It's been written a few years ago now, but it's a contemporary type book since it deals with health. Health issues are not going to go away, and they're actually getting worse in this country because in the Western world we eat so badly, as a general rule. So the book is still contemporary, but I'm going to talk about autointoxication. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means basically to have a system that's backed up. Something like you call a plumber because the toilet is backed up, and you can't get your water to drain out or whatever because the system is backed up with waste and poisons. That happens in our bodies, and it's happening in everybody's body to some extent, especially unless you do cleansing on a periodic basis. And it's called autointoxication, and it means automatically intoxicating your own system by the choices in food, diets, and combination of foods. And that's basically what causes it in us as humans. So we need to clear our systems, just like we call the plumber. No matter what he charges, we'll say, I don't care what you charge, just come fix this problem so that everything is smooth and get rid of all this waste. Okay, but the thing about it, we have that in our systems and we don't think anything about it. There's an old saying that life and death, well, basically death occurs first in the colon. When your colon gets sick and diseased, and you can actually see a picture of a diseased colon, you'll find out old age begins in the colon. And a lot of it is because of autointoxication, where the system is poisoned and it's clogged up, and the food can't get out. Now, one of the reasons for that is because of all the poisons we put in our system, because of all the poisons that are in our food, especially, like I said, here in the Western world. Third world countries don't have that problem because they don't put a lot of poisons in their foods, because most of them eat pretty basic, and a lot of them grow their own foods. But we in the Western world, we go to the markets to shop. And the markets have foods that was grown sometimes several years ago, and it has to be preserved for market, or it was grown on one side of the world and then transported to the other side of the world, which means it has to be preserved during transportation. So we got foods like that are just not fresh. Okay? When you have foods like that with all the poisons, preservatives, fillers, additives, and all that stuff added to it, then what you have is a lot of garbage going into your system along with whatever food or nutrients you can get. And that's why our systems are so clogged up. And if we don't periodically do cleansing, then our system just gets more and more clogged until we finally just die. Basically, that's what's happening. A lot of people die of pneumonia. Pneumonia is basically your respiratory system is clogged up with poison. You can't breathe anymore. You may go into the hospital for one thing, or you may know people that are in the hospital that are critically ill, and then they wind up dying from pneumonia because of their systems being clogged up and filled up with poison. So they went in for one thing, and then they found out how clogged they were, and then they wind up passing away. So that's in the system. Okay, and I'm talking about the respiratory when it comes to pneumonia, and you can't breathe anymore. Okay, but as far as autointoxication, that's poisoning in the gut, the stomach, the upper and the lower intestines. And so I'm going to basically read just a few sentences from my book. Again, Live to to 120 without sickness and disease, and it is possible to do so. And there have been people that have done it, so I know that it's possible. It says, waste should never be allowed to stay in the system for any period of time. And I know people that will like go to the bathroom. When I say go to the bathroom, I mean actually sit on the toilet, to defecate. And they say they go every 3 or 4 days, or they maybe go once a week. Talked to one lady, said she went every 2 weeks, believe it or not. But she ate 3 meals a day. So if you eat 3 meals a day, you should be eliminating 3 meals a day. If you go eat 2 meals a day, you should be eliminating twice a day to get that out of your system. So it says waste should never be allowed to stay in the system for any period of time. If you only have 1 toilet visit per day for 7 days, you would have 14 meals still trapped in your system, and that's based on 3 meals a day. 21 meals, you go once a day, at least 14 meals still trapped in your system, okay? If this builds up and continues over a period of time, it can lead to autointoxication or poisoning of the system. It was determined during an autopsy, of a famous actor, and I'm not going to mention his name because I may get sued, whose name I will not mention, that he had 5 pounds of fecal matter lodged in his colon at his death when they did the autopsy. 75 pounds, okay? So this was this particular person, and this particular person wasn't necessarily overweight. Okay, he was a big guy, but he wasn't necessarily overweight. So people that have 200, 300, 400 pounds on them, they have a lot of fecal matter stocked and stored and packed in their system that needs to get out. That's where cleansing comes in, okay? So you need to do periodic cleansing. If you're not gonna eat the right foods which flush you, like fruits, drinking a lot of water flushes you. So things that do flush you, and then of course eating the right diet, eating less meats and things like that, because they don't tend to transit through your system very well. But you can flush a lot of that out with water and with a lot of fruit juices and things. But another side of that is food combinations, okay? Food combinations have gotten crazy ever since the Food Network came on board. It was about 20 years ago, and they started having all these shows on cooking. People started experimenting with cooking, and all of these new chefs that are creating all of these crazy dishes that may look good, smell good, and taste good, but the combination is driving your system crazy because your system doesn't know what to do with all this food. And I'll go into another day about the enzymes and how they break down our foods. And if your enzymes don't know what to do with this mass of food, then what happens is it just stores it in the system. And then it becomes more waste and more waste and more bulk. Okay, so I'm going to read a few of these combinations. Melted butter with popcorn and soy sauce. That may not seem too weird to you, but that's kind of strange. Cold pizza. First of all, pizza is not good for you because the dough is not risen properly. Okay, so the dough rises when it gets in your system, basically. Cold pizza dipped in soda. Okay, I think that's kind of strange. Ritz cracker and peanut butter with raw onion and ketchup. Okay, these are supposed to be delicious combinations. Okay, grilled pineapple with Tabasco sauce. Tuna fish and spaghetti with marinara sauce. Okay, grits and maple syrup. Okay, and then to top all of that, this was a recent one I just found out about. Smoked watermelon with gravy over it. Smoked watermelon with gravy. When you start eating combinations like some of the ones I just mentioned, and some of them even worse than that, I don't have time to go into all of the combinations, but your body does not know what to do with this food. It does not know how to process this food because it's not being introduced into the body properly because it's such a mass of garbage to begin with, and it doesn't get broken down by your system. And all this gets stored in your system, and your system backs up, you get impacted, and you wind up with diseases in your body because of rotting food that never got processed. So that's a little bit on autointoxication. I won't go any further with it. It can get pretty gross, but that's what's happening in everybody's system unless we stay regular and we do colon cleansing on a regular basis, drink a lot of water, and flush our systems out, and fast as often as you can. Okay? So that's enough for today. Everybody be blessed and watch what you eat if you are eating. And if you're fasting, keep up the good work. Be blessed.